These new power stations from DJI have literally changed my entire on-set workflow, and have actually become a permanent fixture on my camera cart. Now, I'm a bit late to the party, but I've had an entire month full of jobs, which I'm super grateful for, but that's also a month full of field testing and using these units on actual shoots. I used to use an Ecoflow Delta Mini a few years back, but I stopped using it after a while because I found that if I left it plugged in for too long, it would just stay on and just deplete the battery and wouldn't charge. So I would always come back the next morning without a full charge. Another thing I wasn't a huge fan of was literally that. The fans would often kick on if the room was moderately warm, and we would end up just killing it because it was too loud for sound. Enter the new DJI Power Station, which I'm now bringing on just about every job that uses my cart, which is just about every job. There are two new models, the Power 1000 and the Power 500. The 1000 is 1024 watt hours, and the 500 is 512. Both use lithium ferrophosphate chemistry, which gives you way more charge cycles than typical lithium polymer batteries, which is important when considering the value that you're getting and the lifespan of the battery. So for instance, the Ecoflow I used to use is rated for 800 cycles, and after that, your capacity drops down to 80%. But with these new DJI Power Stations, you're getting over 3,000 cycles, which means that you could charge these every single day from 0%, and it would last you well over 8 years. Already a huge value gain considering how long it'll last you. Speaking of charging, both models can charge to 100% in just 70 minutes, which is wild considering that it takes a few hours to charge a standard 150 watt hour gold mount battery. Granted, they both use different chemistry, but you're still talking about charging over 1,000 watt hours in just over an hour. Best of all, the key selling point for me is that every single port remains active while you charge the power station, so you can still power all your devices while charging at full speed, which is so incredibly convenient. There's a switch on the front so you can toggle between fast charging and slow charging to help preserve the longevity of the cells. And I was flipping through the manual and also found out that after every 6 consecutive fast charge cycles, it will automatically switch to regular charging and does some battery maintenance, which takes about 20 minutes. So for some real life examples, with a Power 1000, you can expect to charge a 16-inch MacBook 8 to 9 times. You can power a Mini LF for about 6 hours, run a projector for 9 hours, or charge your phone 57 times. The Power 1000 can support a 2200 watt load and up to 2400 watts for about 90 seconds. So as a curious being myself, I got the biggest fixture I own and was able to get 98% output, no problem, running a 2400B. After 2400 watts, it starts yelling at you, but it's cool to know that in an absolute pinch, you could power what's equivalent to a 4K HMI without a sweat. So I know I've been talking a lot about my cart and how I basically use this DJI Power Station on basically every shoot. And another thing I'm literally always bringing with me on every shoot are these cord pouches from CRDBAG. CRDBAG makes really high quality organizational pouches that you can use for basically anything. They have a lot of really exciting products coming out in the next couple months that I saw at NAB. They're super high quality and super rugged, so they'll definitely last you a long time. There's a clear window on the front so you can tell exactly what's inside. You can add your own Velcro labels as well as a clear window so that you can add your own custom labels. There's MOLLE webbing on the back and also a tactical hook, and as you can see, I'm just carrying a bunch just right off the side of the cart, and it's super nice not having to bring an entire AKS case with me, so that way I can clear up more space for an additional case that I need to bring, and then that way I can bring just a bunch of these smaller items with me and still access them directly from the side, grab what I need, close it up, and then just drop it since it hangs right off the side. CRDBAG is running a special sale only for 4 days, and so if you use my code ISTHATARED on checkout, you can get an extra 25% off your entire order. So get organized and check out CRDBAG. I was on a shoot last month where we had shot some interviews, and I had used the Power 1000 to run my camera, so I didn't have to worry about draining batteries while we lit and shot the interview. I was coming right off another job, so I didn't really have a chance to charge in between shoots, so I plugged it in at 20%, and after just 22 minutes of shooting, it was already at 61%. That's nearly 2% a minute, which is crazy. That brings me to my next big point, is that under normal use, I've never heard the fans kick on, which is huge because I'm usually using these as alternatives to block batteries, so they're generally sitting right next to camera, and I need something really quiet when we're rolling audio. The fans obviously will turn on at max load, but that's kind of to be expected. One thing that also surprised me is how quickly they were back down under normal load, so it's able to cool off really, really quickly. Another really cool use case is using these as a UPS, which I discovered at DJI's booth during NAB. So if you're using these to power your computer setup and there's an outage, the power station can deliver power in 20 milliseconds, so all your devices stay on and begin running off the battery. There are 2 independent USB-C PD ports on the front. The Power 1000 delivers up to 140 watts, which is able to fast charge a MacBook Pro, so one port is pretty much always reserved for one of my MagSafe cables. The Power 500 USB-C ports output slightly lower at 100 watts, but they're actually bi-directional, meaning that you could actually charge the power station with any USB-C power supply, which is super convenient if you're traveling light or you just forget to pack the standard OSHA cable. And a nice hidden little feature is that these ports actually support simultaneous inputs, so theoretically you could use 2 USB-C ports and charge at a max rate of 200 watts. The neat little pony trick that these power stations have up its sleeve are the SDC ports, which is basically a bi-directional smart DC port that can fast charge newer DJI drones. You just have to make sure that you have to get the specific cable for the battery that you're trying to charge. With an SDC port, you can pull nearly double the wattage and basically cut your charge times in half. For example, Mavic 3 battery typically charges at 65 watts and takes about 96 minutes, but with the power station, you pull 150 watts and it takes about 32 minutes to charge to 95%. Now, in terms of input, you can use the SDC port to run solar panels using an optional adapter module, or even use a car outlet adapter and charge the power station while you're on a road trip. So the SDC port is cool if you do a lot of drone work, but I've used these things for just about everything from powering lights on location to running a decimator drop closer to set, using them as block battery alternatives, or even just charging my new Avata batteries. But what's probably the most noteworthy is that this is now the hub to my entire cart workflow. These things have been pretty invaluable over the past few months, and I really like using both of them in tandem. Like I mentioned earlier, the Power 1000 has become a permanent fixture on my cart that acts as my own little mini 20 amp lunchbox that I can keep all my batteries charging, even while I'm walking to location or even in the middle of a company move. There's also this great little bag that you can get, which is nice, so it kind of stays covered and protected on the cart. I have a 50-foot Stinger already plugged in to the charging port, so once I land at location, all I have to do is find the nearest outlet, and right there I'm powering the entire cart while also charging the battery. And it's super convenient because I can just leave my quad charger right on the top shelf instead of always having to find a spot on the floor just to charge my gold mount batteries. Not to mention, there's always usually some other sort of battery that I have to charge, so keeping them all organized in one spot makes things super efficient for not only me, but also my AC. The smaller Power 500 is great to use as a battery block since it's super lightweight and perfect for powering the camera for hours without just burning through gold mounts. Also sometimes use this nifty magnetic power cable that's perfect for Steadicam or if you just need to unplug really easily. Obviously, portable power stations like these are heavily geared towards outdoor enthusiasts, but I found that these things have tremendous value for us in the film industry, no matter what department you're in. If you want a more detailed breakdown of my cart setup, let me know in the comments.